difficult to know where to start this week after the performance against Castleford, but on reflection, how do you feel about that one?
Frustrated. Immediately after the game, frustrated. Still frustrated now. What we didn't really mention after the game was there's a lot of context around losing blokes. Obviously lost Mint early, but by the end of the game we didn't have a bench left. Everyone had gone, so there's a bit in there on that. But disappointing to say where we were 7 days prior in our performance. But I thought, as a game, it were two patched up teams. And a little bit of experience from them and a little bit of quality as well. Took the game away from us early, then it was a bit of a chase after that. So, disappointing, but we have to move on, don't we?
With that context, how did you feel about the effort levels that you criticised the other week, but then you saw again? How did you feel about them against Cass?
Yeah, the effort's there, but sometimes with the choices, I said again after the game, you can get back. You can be tired and still get back really fast. You can be tired and get around the corner or hunt from marker and get your kick pressure on and stuff. I just think at times we were tired. Probably the game getting away from us, putting a bit of a negative mindset, and started saving our energy a little bit for the stuff we prefer to do, which, as I said, immediately after the game is not like that. You get found out real quick if you do that, and the lads know. Where they need to improve, and I'm hoping we jump back up to the sort of effort we produced about a couple of weeks ago.
There's still obviously games to go this season, and you're talking pre-season obviously about fitness and the physical development. Is there something, do you feel, that mentally is maybe needed to work on as well with some of the players anyway?
Yeah, I think pre-season obviously is going to be a lot of change, a different approach to it. It'll do lads the world of good as well. I think the mindset is a difficult one that does need a bit of work. I think call it, I suppose, the competitive advantage. What if everyone's training quite similar? There's only so many hours in the week. Maybe putting a bit of time into that can give you a bit of a benefit. And I certainly think with this group it will. It's been a tough old year. A lot of negativity around us, within us at times. So it's something we need to push out. But I keep saying it on a lot of fronts. But we don't want to start on November, whatever date we're coming in on, to start working on those things, whether it is fitness, nutrition or whatever it might be. We should be starting it now, and that message is a continual one from us as a staff.
I suppose it's responsibility, isn't it? The player's own responsibility. You can only do so much as coaching staff, particularly at the moment. Yeah,
I think it's a tough one, this, because I probably come off after I put onus on the players for their performance and owning that, and it comes off as a bit of us and them, and it certainly don't mean to be that way, but everyone's got a role to play through the week on game day, and those lads who go out there have got a big one to play on the field. They're carrying out the week's work, and we're all judged on that week on what we're able to put out there. So responsibility is probably a key factor in that, personal responsibility for all of that, how you train, how you think. Some of us need help with all matters, don't we, whether it would be the physical side or the mental side, but there is definitely a personal responsibility to get yourself to the right level that is the standard. I think, on occasion, but last week was one, a few more occasions this year, we've had far more than the few you could get away with not being at the right level.
So that's looking ahead a little bit maybe, but this week, how has training been this week? Has it been a case of you concentrated on the actions or the words this week?
So we played Saturday, didn't we? Saturday, yeah. So shorter week, shorter contact time. We didn't brush the game under the carpet and move on. We looked at some of the ugly footage and a bit of a discussion around that. And again, it sort of finished with a similar chat of we can't think about changing masses with where we are with as a team at the moment, with people playing out of position and such. But we can't change the plan or how we go about our business. It doesn't matter what the plan is, essentially. We need to buy into what we're doing, and that was the chat to start the week. Got the ugly bit out of the way, and then we've got on with training. They trained all right, to be fair, and we've had 2 proper training days, and they've done all right. So we'll see. We'll see what we come up with this week. I'm expecting us to turn up and be a bit embarrassed about our last outing. So hopefully that just puts a little bit of fuel in people to get themselves up to the level that they think's a respectable level for them and us.
Are you still trying to find new ways of approaching things at this stage of the season, just to see if you can get that bit extra from the squad?
Oh, we've done it all. We've sprayed them. Used all those bits. Tried to sort of arm round people. Tried to antagonise them a little bit as well. Challenge them quite a bit. But I think there's only so many times you can do each of those methods, and you can't necessarily do them consecutively. Otherwise, you're just beating people down. But yeah, we've got the opportunity to praise them for their efforts. Although it was all for naught against Wigan. We were honest, and we got to challenge them a little bit around why you're here. You have to ask yourself that, and know what is your motivation, and challenge them to harness that, whatever it may be, whether it's money, you love Hull FC, you represent your family, whatever it might be. Challenge them to try and harness that for these next few weeks, and just be proud of, like it says, Hull and proud on all our gear. Not sure we've come off I'm certain we haven't come off the field every time this year fully proud of our performances as individuals or collectively. So yeah, the challenge is there for them to try and harness whatever that motivation might be. You can motivate players to a degree. I think it's intrinsic. I think you have to have something in you, fire in you, and whatever the root cause of that is individual and different for everyone. But yeah, if they can get hold of that and try use that, if nothing else, to try and spur them on to get back to a level that they were happy with.
In this situation now, looking at Leeds as your opponents, is it almost irrelevant who you're playing? Is it very much about what your side can produce?
Yeah, definitely. It's been that for quite a while, because the cold hard truth, we have not been good enough to be able to change game plans and change too much for what's in front of us. We've had to try and concentrate on us, and on occasion we've got it right and got the pats on the back, and undoubtedly you cop it when you're not going well. But we just need to get back on board with it, because we did get into a bit of a rhythm a little while ago now, but there's obviously all that change in between. But yeah, above all that though, because game plans and stuff is essentially when you've got the ball, how you defend doesn't really change, or shouldn't really change too much. There's processes and methods you use to negate all things, but your attitude towards it's got to be spot on really, and I think that's the thing that for us that's been lacking when we've fell out of games and conceded your 30s, your 40s. I think it has come down to attitude. So yeah, but we'll see what we come out with this week. But it's been like that roller coaster all year, and hopefully last week was a down, we're getting up this week.
So what's your main focus of what you want out of that game on Friday night?
Again, back to that words and actions bit. Can we marry them up? I still refer to the bits that they've decided are important. Well, we all decide they're important, but they've highlighted some important bits. We'll be pushing them again, and that's just around making sure you're competing. There's different metrics within that, but we just want to go and compete and give ourselves an opportunity to be in the game. And like the Castleford one, I think they visited our try line twice in the first 5 minutes and scored twice. We need to start the game a lot better than we did, and it's their last home game. They'll be wanting to finish on a high. So yeah, should be a good atmosphere over there. Nice place to play rugby, certainly.
So your 21-man squad is out, and a few changes. Just, if you can, bring us up to date with who's in, who's out.
Okay, you always catch me up on
sorry.
this.
Let's start with Danny Houghton. What's the prognosis?
Yeah, I mean, he's done it. It's so frustrating for him. Feel for him, because he's done all that rehab. The prognosis was long term. He's also been having checks, going through the rehab, and he's ticked every box. Only 2-3 days before, he was absolutely blowing. He's done everything. We've pushed him really hard, and unfortunately it lasted, I think it was like 5 minutes maybe, and he's torn his calf again, a different tear. It's not aggravated, the same one. He's torn another, and that's just the old warhorse really, that's his body's giving out, but we're hopeful that we can get him back overnight. So it's not a significant one like it was last time. It's a little one, so hopefully we can see him out there again, and he can finish going out on the pitch. That'd be nice for him. Other than that, who else have we got? Who left the field? Jack Ash has shown up all right after he's back. He came off with a back injury. He's looking okay with a neural thing, I think. Lee came off, had a head check, didn't fail the HIA, but he couldn't continue. He had problems with his vision after a finger in the eye scratched his eye. So he's had some checks this week, been to see a specialist around his eye, and he's looking okay as well. So all being well, wake up tomorrow and he's gone backwards and he'll be fine. I'm trying to think who else. Jordan Lane, took him off I think Laney was more his body telling him, you're pushing it here, I think, really. He's played almost every minute of majority of games all season. He's been brilliant. He's had a right season. After being challenged, I think, at the beginning of the year with his number change and stuff like that, I think he's come through and been probably our best player for mine all season. Who else were they in there?
That's all I've got written down.
Yeah, maybe that's it then.
Right, we'll move on.
I can't remember him anyway, so it's good.
It's all right. And Andy Lest will be announced as well as a new assistant coach coming in. How good is it to get a coach like him back on board at Hull FC?
Oh, brilliant. I think Lasty probably never wanted to leave. Circumstances around that were out of his control. He loves Hull. He gets to come back to be with his family and also join the club that he loves. But, for us as a group, I think we've got a good team off the pitch. We're assembling a good team off the pitch for next year and made some improvements there, which are really important because you can spend an absolute wedge of money on the playing group. It's important we have the right support around, and along with new physio and some changes in that back room, I think we've made some really good steps there. And for me personally, he'll be good. He's not England's assistant for no reason. He's an experienced coach who's seen all levels of the game at this club, all the way through it, and he'll be good. It'll narrow the focus a bit, I think. Instead of trying to be across everything, we're all in it together, but I'll have my sort of area. Last he'll have his, John will have a bit, and we'll all come together, and it'll be good. It'll give us an opportunity to narrow that focus a bit and really nail our roles as opposed to being spread across the lot, which would be great. Be good for the playing group as well, because I know he's passionate about Hull, and that's something we need to really express to a lot of new players that are coming to the club, of how much it means to not only those that are already here, but to the wider public and our fans. So I think it's a great appointment, and couldn't have come at a better time.
And getting someone in with that affinity to the club, to the area, it's quite important at a club like Hull FC as well, isn't it?
Yeah, well, not only is the aim longer term, all the time, short, medium and long, to be bringing through your own, but having someone that's seen every level of it, really important, I think. And a lot of scenarios that Last year have been through throughout his career at Hull, Catalans, and with England, that'll be really beneficial to the whole group, not just the players, for us. I'm sure I'll learn loads off him. So I think it's a really positive appointment, and although we're looking forward to it, we'll let that one sit now for a few weeks, and we'll be in contact when it's all said and done and setting about planning the future. But for now we'll look forward to that, I suppose. But job at hand.
Right, Fash, Grix, who was with it, didn't play last week.
Another one, yeah.
How was he?
I knew there was another. Fash, all right. He's back. He had a back issue last week. He was struggling to walk upright, I suppose. But he's come through. He's come through that, and he's ready to go.
Obviously, in terms of the messages this week, it's just getting on that up again and doing the things that you spoke about, but putting into action. Is that the key again?
Yeah, I think the reality, might not sound great coming out of my mouth for the position I hold at present, but the reality is we've not been good enough as a club, as a team, all year to compete consistently, have we? We got a little patch where it started coming together a little bit, and then more and more change comes in. It's been tough for everyone associated, but it would be really nice to start making them changes now, as I've referred to in other stuff in this interview, where get that integrity about us and make sure we're doing everything. Your actions and words and that, they might not always line up, even though you try your best, but we want to see them really attempting to align them words and actions together, and that will give us something to be proud of, and that's how I want to finish our season.
Mentioned Laney there as one of Hull's best performers this year. He's actually took a captain role as well, and I think there's been a few times this year it's been noticeable. He's been the one speaking to the ref, for example, and leading it out. So has that been a little reward for him? I don't know about a reward. Laney's Hull through and through, loves it. One of the senior players in the room. And when we've been missing Danny, we've missed Fash for significant periods. He's been the logical appointment for that captain's role, if you like, and an honourable one for him. I'm sure he's been honoured to do that, and he'd love to do it again moving forward. But I think for Laney, a lot of unnoticed stuff in there. I know we might have Lewis and Harvey scoring some U-beauties or whatever, or even Deneve jumping in, Charlesy doing a little bit more, all those young lads who've caught a lot. I think Laney's been a constant, solid 7 out of 10 every week.
He's missed about 3 tackles all year. He's done probably God knows how many every game, at minimum 40 per game. And he's left it all out there every week. He's done what we've asked. He's played in the centre at times when we've had to shuffle. He's played 9, both sides of the field, back row. He's played through the middle. He's been great, a great teammate. I think his teammates certainly appreciate it. Some of it does go unnoticed, but after what was probably a little bit of a head rattle at the beginning of the year, which losing his number, which numbers, believe it or not, are not the be all and end all, but to people, to lads, wider public, they think it means everything, and I think it had the desired effect to try getting back to the form that we know he's capable. I think there's still certainly more in there for Laney. I'm interested to see how we go next year with a lot more blokes and seasoned men and consistency around him. I'd like to see him go another level, but he's been great for us this year.
We did a press with Laney a couple of years ago, and he actually said he was embarrassed by his defensive statistics at the time, but right now his tackle efficiency, like you say, he's missed about a handful all year, so defensively he's really short that side of his game up. Yeah,
definitely. I think his stats are probably way up as well because he's played in the middle for massive portions. It's tough on the edge, you're making decisions, as a back rower, you got to service the middle and look after them blokes inside, but then they're screaming at you to look after them on outside, so it's a tough job. But whereas in the middle, blokes are coming direct and it just becomes about a physicality and an attitude towards it, and he's certainly got that right.
What would you say his best position is? Because it's interesting you say in the middle. Under Brett, a couple of years back, he started at Luxman. He was arguably one of those foreign players.
Yeah, I think he lends himself well to be in the middle. Where the game is now, he's not a massive bloke, but he's strong, fast across the ground, got decent skill level, and obviously his tackle ability is pretty good. You've seen him get under people and force errors and whatnot this year. So I do think he lends himself to be in the middle. But, he's pretty good back rower as well, so it's nice for him to have that string to his bow. And in this game now where you lose players for sin bins and such more often than we've ever seen it, having someone with versatility is really important. He's a rugby player, he's an old school. He probably won't admit it, but I reckon he still watches quite a bit, and he would have watched it growing up a lot. So he knows how to play each role, I think, really, and that's a real benefit to his teammates.
He's developed a lot of leadership qualities this year as well, like you say, leading the side out as captain. But obviously he's an experienced player in his own right now. He's played over 200 games for the club, so come on, leaps and bounds, to be fair to him.
Yeah, I do think there's more in there. I think, again, a bit of an outside opinion, because obviously it's my first year working with Laney, but I think he came on the scene with a lot of potential. I'd argue he's not quite achieved what people thought he possibly could. I mean, as a back rower who can play middle, look across England's squad, I don't think it's a position of massive depth, particularly back row. And any young Englishman, he's, how old is Laney, 27, something like that, a good age, in his prime. That shouldn't be something that's not on their goal list at the beginning of the year to get involved in that conversation, and I do think he's got the qualities to do that. Over to Laney, really.
So he has played for England Knights, so it's not as far-fetched as some would assume maybe listening to this.
Yeah, obviously a lot's happened in between him playing England Knights and now. But yeah, from what I've seen this year, I think he's certainly got a lot of the tools he needs to get there. I think he just probably has to have a good think about that and what he wants out of the rest of his career. Does he want to stick international honours next to his name? I'm sure he does.
Hi Simon. Just going back to the Cas game, which I don't like to go back over, I like to look ahead to the stuff coming up. But go and look at the sort of some of the stats. I know the stats tell you but we're in possession while it was pretty close. When you look at the completed sets, we've got a 90 plus completion rate as opposed to 72, I think Cas has. So do you think it was execution or defence that let us down then?
I think we were 82%. So yeah, we were a bit better than them. Yeah, it was our spine, again, it doesn't sound great coming from me, it sounds like excuses, but the more Danny Houghton goes off after 4 minutes, so we have Deneve, 20 years old, learning his trade, a bit of a power 9, not a game management 9. Charlesy, learning his trade, Moy, learning his trade, and Moggs, who's sort of caught between being a hooker and a half. So we haven't got the experience, and I think that's why it looks clunky at times, particularly when they get tired and under pressure a bit. So I think our attack certainly has something to do with it. But yeah, I thought our attitude towards defence weren't good enough. I had a look at it after. Obviously, there's a file full of stats after every game, but I think they received the ball off our kicks maybe a dozen times in their 10-metre area. don't think we got them once to kick from play 5 from their 40, which tells you we're giving up territory too easy. So yeah, the annoying bit in all that is we've shown we can do that. We can trap teams in there, we can find the energy and do it. The other day we just didn't have our heads in the right places.
And we did have that 20-minute period in the second half where we did look as though we was back in the game. In fact, if it had continued at that pace, we'd have no doubt would have won the game.
Yeah, we could have been smarter again when they went down to 12. Dished up possession real quick. Then they went to 11 for a small period, and we were dishing over possession still then. So a lot of room for improvement. I think that's our year in full, really. But yeah, last week's gone now. On to the next. Only a week before that, we were all pretty happy with what we did. So hopefully a week later from the bad one, we can put out a good one.
I asked you last week about our stars of the future, showing our hand, so to speak, in terms of bringing them through at such early ages, because of the necessity to do so. And I know Live did a piece this week around a certain agent that was already involved with Harvey and Lewis, and potentially moves for them in the future. From a coach's perspective, how do you entice them players to want to remain part of this club?
Agents, the salesmen, aren't they really? That's what that is, a sales pitch. Yeah, look, the potential. Same with Deneve when I come off like I'm negative on him and I don't like the kid or something. Our job's to try and keep him progressing and pushing them towards this potential that they're speaking about like it's already happened. There's a long way to go for all them players. Lewis and Harvey that mentioned, yeah, they're good. They fit the prototype, if you like, of how you'd probably like your winger to look these days. Tall, rangy. But there's a long way to go between where they are now and where hopefully they could get to. Yeah, like any other young player, they're making mistakes at the moment, but they're getting better every week, which is great to see, and really rewarding in a tough year to see that. I think as a staff we have made a difference to the games of some of those young kids. But yeah, it's press, agents, their job can talk them up until the cows come home. We'll reward them, pat them on the back when they're getting it right, but yeah, we're there to make sure they get better and push them towards what they could be, but there's no guarantees in all of it, of course. So yeah, a bit of a job there, keeping them grounded when people are going on making some pretty big calls. I think generational is the word.
And lastly for me, it's been announced that Andy Lass coming back to the club, and obviously you're staying as an assistant coach as well. Thinking about the future, and how do you see your and Andy's role? Will you be splitting the role? Will you be doing the same thing, or is that to be decided?
Yeah, I think most places, you got to remember, we're all in it together. Like if I were to do attack and Andy D and John oversee, whatever, that's generally how it works. How the sort of focus is split, but it's not if defence ain't good, well, and it's your fault, or, you know what I mean. We're all in it together, but I think it, as I said before, I think it might allow me the opportunity to focus a little bit on a certain area, but also the experience of Lasty coming along with John's good for me. And essentially, if we go back however long, my first ever LFC interview, it was the idea of coming to work with an experienced coach, and the first one didn't work out. Hopefully lightning can't strike twice, surely we'll be fine. But yeah, Lasty coming is great news for everyone. I think he's well respected across the game, but obviously there's a few lads that were here as well. They're obviously really happy to see Lasty coming back as well, which is great news. But yeah, for my development and progression, I think it's kind of, after what's been, something he couldn't have planned for. I think it's turned out like it could be pretty good.
And thinking about next season for yourself then personally, do you think you'll be less under pressure?
Pressure, I don't know. Everyone thinks because you're in charge, it's your name's above the door sort of thing, but I think if we're going to be realistic and honest, this has been going on a long while. The coaches have changed, chopped and changed. There's a lot that's gone on for a long time. I got asked to hold the baby, if you like, when they got rid of the last one, and kind of in a position where you can't say no, it's my job, I'm still coming to work every day. It's not been great having to front a lot of it, to be honest, but learnt loads about people, how hot your phone is when you win, how deathly silent it is when you lose and all that. Yeah, you learn who your friends are and who's close, you learn whose opinions matter and whatnot as well, but yeah, plenty of learnings, not all of them positive, but all down in the black book.